You are now tuned in to the latest episode of Sean Mack Live.
Talking about making comics and all the business that go along with it. No advice, just experience. Let's get into it. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? How y'all feel? Welcome to the show. Episode 2, Sean Mack Live. Had an interesting experience before I logged in. That I'm probably gonna do an uncut video podcast about later. Have some serious discussion about it. It revolved around business too, which was interesting. The business around making comics. A guy specifically said that I was the reason that Short Fuse lost out on a $50,000 investor. I'd be, I'm curious to understand how that took place. But hey. Things happen, and if we did, I apologize for that. I don't know how that would have happened. I definitely don't know how I would have been at fault for it. And we all know I wouldn't have turned away a $50,000 investor. So, hey, we got to figure out what happened, and we'll go from there. So, episode 2, I didn't start with the graphics as you guys saw. As I said in the last week's video, if you guys tuned in, thank you for everybody that tuned in. In doing this show, I'm working on getting everything together so the presentation can be the exact way that I want, because I want to eventually transition the show over to YouTube instead of using Facebook Live. I'm just using Facebook Live to get the first couple videos all set. And then I want to transition it over to YouTube. I have intro graphics, which I posted yesterday, and I did last week. I started off the show with the intro graphics, and I noticed that it came across a bit choppy. So I don't know if that was due to a technical issue or a router, which I'm really not sure, because I actually look back at the video version, because I record these streams as well, because I figure maybe I could just upload them up to YouTube later, so I can stack a bunch of shows. So once I launch the official YouTube page, if people come to the YouTube page because they enjoy the content, they start off with many different versions of the video. So with that being the case, I looked back at the recorded version of the video last week, and it was very choppy. It was choppy. The intro was choppy, which I didn't understand. I could understand it on the live stream, potentially. Maybe it was a router issue. I also use an extender, but I didn't understand what made it go choppy on the recorded version. So the recorded version was pretty choppy as well. So what I figured is that maybe it's a router issue or something like that, but I'm going to do some tests and figure out what's going on. But until then, I'm not going to use the intro video when I do the live streams on Facebook. Again, unless I can get that resolved, then I'll bring the intro video back, and we'll go from there. So, with that out of the way, got a couple good topics today I want to discuss. Like I said, I will be doing some podcasting as well. It's going to be a show called it's still going to be Sean Mack Live, but it's going to be Sean Mack Live Uncut, where I'm going to do a little bit more topic discussions as opposed to just answering questions, because on this show I'm going to answer questions, which is what the show is all about. I'm going to answer you guys' questions, and to get a question on this show is pretty simple. The easiest way to do it is follow me on social media at Sean Mack Live, and if you follow me on Sean Mack Live, you'll see that I just usually make random posts that say, hey, I need to restock on questions or topics for the show, and you guys can send in questions. Try and make them as straight to the point and quick as possible. Make the questions as short as you can, so I can fit them on the screen in a nice little template that I have, and that way we make sure your questions get used. Beyond that, you can always email me at seanmacklive@gmail.com and just put in the subject line, just put topic, and that way I know that it's for the show, and I can go in and I can pick out the questions, and who knows, maybe you'll get question of the day. And if you get question of the day, like Juan Espinoza did last week, you end up getting some free books and free something. I got some free swag to get. You can look behind me, I got a bunch of stuff I can give away. So that's what I do. I'm gonna give some stuff away. So with all that out of the way, let's jump into today's first question. And today's question, the first question comes from Rob Wilson, who asks, how do I treat my comics and art as product to make money? Which I thought was a really good question, because making comics and making art are one thing, but treating them as a product to make money is a totally different thing. You can make art and you can make comics and you can keep them in your basement and just do them for your own self-enjoyment. And a lot of times when I talk about, or when I make posts on social media, and remember, this show is about just my experiences. It's not me giving any kind of advice. So when people ask questions, I'm only answering the questions based on my experience from being a guy that's put out a, nice amount of comics. So, and made some profit. So making comics, when I make a lot of posts on social media, I talk about profiting. I talk about creators making a profit from their work. And what happens is you get a lot of creators that seem in my humble opinion, they seem to make it as if making a profit is not the end goal. They make it seem like it's only about passion, and the comics that they're making is because they really just want to tell a story. And I get that. I get that you want to tell a story, and I get that, it's a passion project. But at the end of the day, indie creators that's making comics and releasing them publicly, you want to make a profit. Any business that's making comics, you want to make a profit. You can say that you don't want to make a profit all you want, but if that's the case, and if that truly was the case, then those same indie creators that's saying they don't want to make a profit, they just want to do it for their passion, they wouldn't complain about the fact when they're not selling any comics, or people are not buying them, or when they're running into situations where it's costing them too much money to make their comics. They wouldn't care, because it's a passion project. If it's passion, you just put all into it. If you're in love with a girl or you're in love with a guy, you put your all into it, no matter what happens. Things happen and you just deal with it. You just continue to go along with it. But if it's not about passion, and it's actually to serve a purpose, and that purpose is not being served, then the relationship ends. You get what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with any kind of business. The end goal is to make a profit. The end goal with releasing your product publicly is to make a profit. No one is releasing their product publicly just to tell a story and then complaining about it when they don't make any money, unless they really wanted to make money. So I don't understand why a lot of indie creators do that. And that may not be you, or that may be you. If that is you and the shoe fits, it is what it is. Me personally, every comic that I've released with the intention of making some form of profit. I didn't want to just break even. I wanted to make a profit. Breaking even and making a profit are two totally different things. I also don't want to go on and release multiple comics in the series just to continue breaking even and saying, okay, well, I can do it again and I can do it again. No, you want to make a profit. You want to make the adjustments that you need to make and then make a profit. So getting back into what Rob is saying, and again, he asks, how do I treat my comics and art as product to make money? Well, the first thing is getting the mentality right, in my personal opinion. I think that you would need to get the mentality together that, hey, I want to generate a profit. I want to generate a profit from my art. If you understand that and you are making a decision that, hey, I am going to treat this product as a means to make a profit, then that's the first step that you're going to take towards making money, because you're going to treat your art and your comics as a product and not just something that's you're doing out of passion. You get what I'm saying? So if that makes sense, it's mental. It's all mental for me. It starts mentally. You have to get your mindset to the aspect of, I'm going to generate income. I'm going to generate revenue. I'm going to ultimately generate a profit off of what I'm doing. So treating it as such means you can't always give it away. You can't do things for likes. You have to go through the proper planning in order to release something. You have to launch projects accordingly without giving away the farm and letting everybody see it, because you're so desperate for an ego boost or something like that you show everybody everything or give it away for free. Now, there are times when you will be giving things away for free. Don't get me wrong, because I know it'll be a bunch of people that jump in the comments and say, oh, you've given away stuff for free, or, so-and-so gave things away for free and it turned around and worked out well for them. They're right. They also had an audience built in. I also have somewhat of an audience built in when I'm giving stuff away. So I give away a lot less stuff than what I sell. I'll say that much. So what you want to do is make sure that your mindset is on that of, I'm going to treat this as a business, and you have to treat it as business accordingly. You have to monitor your expenses. You have to monitor every single detail of your project. You have to scrutinize it. And unfortunately, that's the part that a lot of people don't want to do. They want to just create and then release, create and then release, create and release. But nobody wants to go back and do the research to figure out, well, this is why I took a loss this time. This is why I took a loss the second time. This is why I took a loss the third time, and then make the adjustments. If I do a project, for instance, and the production budget was not recouped, I'm going to look at that project a lot more serious if I decide I want to continue it or move on to another, issue within that project, because I need to understand why I didn't make back the production budget. That's first, because if you don't make the production budget back, regardless of what any of you guys created, regardless of what any creator thinks, if you're not making your production budget back, you're not making a profit. Your production budget is part of your project. You have to recoup your production budget in order to make a profit. So, Rob, I hope I answered your question. Again, for me, it's mostly mental. How do I treat my comics and art as a product to make money? You start by getting your mindset in that I'm going to treat this as a business. I'm going to treat this project as something that's going to make money. If you don't treat it as such, it'll never be that. You kind of got to speak it into existence. You get what I'm saying? So I hope that answers your question. If not, feel free to message me and we can talk more about it direct. And we can go from there. So let's see. The next question that we have for today comes from Mason Easley, who asks, why should artists draw your sequential pages instead of pinups for more dollars? Now, he's not speaking to me. What he means is, because I had to shorten this question up, and this is why I asked, if you can, make the questions as short as possible, so that way I can fit them, because I have this nice little template in this word balloon, and I like to just put the questions right there, they're easier to read, and that way I can fit them on the thing. But I had to adjust this question and basically squeeze it down. So what he's saying is, Mason draws pinups and he does fan art and things like that, and he said on many occasions that he makes a profit from those at shows and things like that, and that's what he makes a profit from. And in the question, he was more detailed in asking. He stated that he makes more money from his pinups and things like that as opposed to doing sequential artwork for people. So again, he's asking, what, as an artist, why would he make the decision to draw someone else's sequential pages for pay, and this is for pay, versus pinups that are quicker and are a lot less work and things that he can get more, either the same or more money? So that was essentially what his question was. So in answering that, I'd say this. So Mason, what I would say is, specifically, it's going to boil down to what you want to do. That decision is yours, ultimately. If you want to be known for sequential pages and you want to get people to commission you as work for hire to work on their sequential pages, then the reality of it is you need to produce sequential pages. The dollar amount won't matter. The dollar amount that you're making for whatever you're making and whatever artwork that you're doing won't matter. Now, if that's all you care about is making the dollar amount for your pinups and what you said, if you're making that, then there is no reason for you to draw anybody's sequential pages. If you're making the amount of money doing the work that you want to do, and you're making the amount of money that you want to make from doing your pinups and your fan art and whatever else you're drawing, or even if it's pinups for other creators where you're just doing their pinups and you're making a decent amount off of that. I know it's a couple artists that do that. If you're making an amount that's good enough for you and you're okay with that amount, then there will be absolutely no reason whatsoever for you to make a decision to do anybody's sequential pages if it's going to be more work for the same, or less money. Now, again, it's going to boil down to what you want. It's going to boil down to what you want to do. It's going to boil down to what you want your reputation to be. So if you want your reputation to be that of Mason Easley is a creator that, does awesome sequential artwork, reality of it is you got to do sequential artwork. Second reality is it probably won't be just sequential artwork for you unless you have a dope book that everybody is buying. But the caveat to that is if you have a dope book that everybody's buying, then you probably won't need to do anybody else's sequential pages anyway. You'll be too busy focused on yours. So I would say that it's really going to boil down to what you specifically want to do. So if you want to draw sequential pages for other creators and that's your end goal, then yeah, you gotta put the pinups down and you gotta actually go and do sequential pages for people. I know, using myself as an example, and this is not a knock, and I want to preface this to say this is not a knock on Mason at all. You know, again, this is just me answering this question. And this is not to say anything about how I view Mason. But what I would say is, as the operations director at Short Fuse, understandably, if I needed to find an artist to work on sequential pages for a Short Fuse project, and I know Mason, and Mason was like, hey, well, I could do the job, but I haven't seen work from Mason working on other people's projects or a vast amount working on his own projects, and all I see is pinups, you know, or cover images or whatever, I'd be less inclined to want to hire Mason to be a sequential artist on one of my projects, regardless of how the talent level of, because a lot goes into it more so than just talent. And I'd like to see, you know, I like to see the results. So I guess, I hope that answers your question, Mason. But yeah, he's asking, again, why should artists draw your sequential pages instead of pinups for more money? I mean, again, that's really up to you. Artists can do whatever they want to do. You know, you can do whatever you want to do. And the people that are interested in working with you are going to select you based off of whatever you show. You know, if your goal is to work with other people, then you have to have that in your rapport. You have to have that in your repertoire. You have to have that in your portfolio for people to see. If no one sees any of those things, then you're less likely to acquire that level of business from them. But again, if you're doing everything that you want to do and you're making the amount of money that you want to make, it is what it is. You don't need to do it. So it's, again, end of the day, it's really up to you. So again, thanks for the question, Mason. Appreciate you for reaching out, and yeah, just keep making comics, man. And keep doing them pinups if they're working for you. Keep doing them pinups, man. Don't stop. You know, everybody knows I'm all about making profit, man. If you can make a profit from that, man, and pinups is working at conventions, man, knock yourself out, man. Do it. Hopefully you enjoy doing that, you know, and if you enjoy doing it, hey, then it is what it is. So the next question that we have, I did it again. I said I wasn't going to do that this week, and I did it anyway. All right, so the next question is going to be today's question of the day. And remember, the question of the day, long story short, is just my way of saying I like this question the most. I like this question the most as today's topic, and, you know, as a result, the person that gets question of the day, I send them some free stuff. So today's question of the day comes from Adrian Asia Petty, who asks, what's the best approach to branding? And I think this is definitely an interesting question, because it's so much that goes into branding. And full disclaimer, I'm going to say this. I don't actually think I'm capable of answering this specific question. Again, this is all about no advice, just experience, and I'm going to go with just experience on this one. I'm going to say the best approach is non-existent. It's non-existent. Because the reality of it is each approach is going to be different and is going to be catered to whoever the person is that's doing the branding. You know, if you got a company doing branding for you, they're going to use a certain approach. If you're doing your own branding, it's going to be a certain approach. Your approach to branding is going to be different than mine. What works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. What works for you is not necessarily going to work for me. That's why I think I can't really answer that question. I can give it a shot, of course, which I will. And I could just tell you what I would do on my experience. So in branding, you got to start with social media. No, you know what? Let's back it up. Let's back it up a bit. So let's say, okay, on branding, let's start with the product. Okay, and I'm going to use one of our books for an example. I'm going to use two of our books for an example. With branding, and let me grab a book. So y'all see it when I go to the rack. These are real books. This is not just some image or anything. This sit here. This is a real book. So I'm gonna grab. Let's see. Let's go with this one, and then let's go with this one. So we'll go with two books. So first book, because I gotta represent for my dude Michael Watson, because clearly I'm rocking a Hot Shot T-shirt. Gotta rock the Hot Shot T-shirt. So we're gonna go with Hot Shot. We're gonna look at his Hot Shot book. Then we're gonna look at The Edge from Marvin Wynn. We're gonna look at The Edge, and I'm gonna make this a point on every show that I always talk about at least one comic. So branding on the comics is where I would start. So, and we're talking about comics. So on here, we see we have the Short Fuse logo. So of course you got the Short Fuse logo. But another thing that I want you guys to notice, and sorry if I'm doing this and this looks crazy, but it's my first time doing this. The way we set up the books. If you notice, we have the border across the top, couple words, logo. Then we have, the logo for Short Fuse, logo for the imprint. Then at the bottom, we have a strip across the bottom, and it has the names of all the creators of the book. Okay? New book, The Edge, same thing. You have the border across the top, logo. You have the logo for the company, logo for the imprint, strip across the bottom with the creators' names. Now, the reason that I showed that is to say that on the actual books, the books are branded to look a certain way. They're not just branded with just the logo. They're branded with everything. The entire way that the books are formatted and presented to the public is to be uniform. They're uniform, and you could thank Michael Watson for that. That was his idea. I will never take credit for that. Michael Watson had the idea to make the books look like that, and I love it. I loved every bit of it. So it was a matter of making the books look uniform. So he makes the books look uniform. So when people go to our online store or when they come to our conventions and they see this big giant rack in back of us, when they're looking at the books, we look like, even though they're different titles, it looks like a uniform thing. All of the strips every book is based off of a template. The covers are, the layout for the covers are all based on a template that we use, that Michael created. Hey, you guys, talk to Mike Watson if you ever need, a good template for your comics. Is that Mike sets up some awesome stuff, and then he's real good at what he does, which is partly why he's the publisher. So when people are looking at our books and on the rack, what they see is, even though they see different titles, different imprints, they see the same thing across the board. They look and see the same thing across the board. So once they see the same thing across the board, it immediately grabs their attention. I mean, let alone the fact that we just got a ton of books, but the fact that they all, even though they're different titles, they have the same layout, that gets people's interest. So I would say with the product, start with branding the product to be uniform, to make it all look similar. They don't have to look the same. Clearly, every single one of these covers are totally different, but the branding on there looks the same. So the second thing that I would say is to know what your brand is. For us, our brand is Short Fuse Media Group. Any imprints associated with Short Fuse also going to get that branding. So when you brand things, the key is to make something that's memorable. One of the taglines that we used all throughout 2018 that is kind of branding that people got to associate with us was the hashtag "We Always Deliver," because we made it a point to ensure that in everything that we've said on social media, it always ended with "We always deliver." We always deliver. Any kind of message that we wanted to put out, we always deliver. We always deliver. Because we wanted to beat that into people's heads that we were not like other indie creators that didn't deliver. And you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't have to get into details on that. We're not talking about anybody specifically. We're just talking about creators in general. Because there's this stigma with certain indie creators, and the vast majority of people don't know the difference between us. That's why sometimes I get upset when indie creators don't deliver, because it affects us all. It affects us all. So with that being the case, it's like we use that as a part of our marketing, but it was also part of our branding to say we always deliver, so people associated that with us. So when it came down to, hey, this is a short fuse project, people already had the confidence instilled in them that we deliver, and they could take the chance. They could take the risk of giving us their money on the front end and knowing that we were going to deliver. They could take the risk of checking out our books, because the story, at the end of the day, we always deliver. It's going to be a good story. The artwork is going to be good. The book is going to be professional level. So these are things that all go along with branding. The last thing that I'll say about branding is it revolves around you. We live in an age of social media where people would rather purchase from people than companies. They want to know about you. They want to know about everything that you're doing. They want to know about whether they agree with your ideals. And that's a big part of branding. So, big part of branding that we preach, and I've been preaching it for years at Short Fuse to all our creators, is that personal branding matters. It matters a lot. I mean, it matters a great deal. Your personal branding is how people identify you. When they see you, what do they think? How do they associate? What do they associate you with? Do they associate you with Comicsgate, for instance? Do they associate you with being a transphobic? Do they associate you with being a stand-up guy? At the end of the day, do they associate you with making comics? These are things that you have to figure out, how you are going to present yourself to the public. Because at the end of the day, people are going to look at you as a brand first. So, best approach to branding, in my opinion, starts with your product. Then, by extension, your message that you're trying to portray, and you, how you present yourself. Because rest assured, nobody's going to care about a brand at all. They don't care about the person that's behind the brand. If the person that's behind the brand is a POS, then guess what? That's what people are going to think about the brand. As I just said, when I jumped on this video, it was somebody that said that I blame Sean Mack. Blame Sean Mack for Short Fuse missing out on a $50,000 investor. That's what somebody just posted. They posted it. Blame Sean Mack. So they're not blaming Short Fuse for missing out on a $50,000 investor. They're blaming Sean Mack. You see what I mean? Which was interesting that this is the question of the day, because that's example right there. Now, if I did lose out on a $50,000 investor, hey, man, you win some, you lose some is the best I can say. I'd like to know how, but it's a way to go about letting me know. And it's not by posting on social media. That's just not the way. And if, the $50,000 investor is the one posting on social media, then I'm pretty sure I didn't want to deal with them anyway. It is what it is. So, I hope that answered your question. But Adrian, you got the question of the day. So I'll send a message to you to get you some info where you can, get you some free swag. And I appreciate you sending the question in. I appreciate you participating. And again, I ask these questions. I ask people to send in questions on social media at Sean Mack Live. And that's on any social media. You find me on Twitter, Instagram. I haven't made any posts on Instagram. I made a bunch of drunk tweets on Twitter the other day. That was my first time. And that was fun. I had a lot of fun. I haven't been drunk again to make those posts. So, make those tweets rather. So I'll try it again later. So let's see. Beyond that, that'll be it for the questions. I have time to take a couple live questions. And I'll do that in a second. As soon as I can clear this off the boom. Alrighty. I did it right this time. I messed up earlier, but you know, I'm still working on it. That's my excuse. I'm gonna use that. I'm sticking to that, and we can go from there. So let's see. I'm gonna go to the live chat again. The goal is for me to transition this this show over to YouTube. So I'm using a live chat now on Facebook. I'll do the same thing. I'll use a live chat on YouTube once I get there. Because to be honest, the whole Facebook layout thing with the live chat, I've never liked using the I've never really liked the way that the questions come across. I use multiple screens and it's hard for me sometimes to see what's going on. So, you know, go from there. So I'll take a couple questions. Now, I will say this on the chat questions, since I'm not posting those on the screens, they don't have to be short and sweet. Just make sure that they're actual questions. I watch another show that's online where a guy answers questions, and one of the things that he does is he always points out one thing, and I'm gonna point out the same thing because I've actually got some of these questions. So now I see his point. Don't ask what if questions. Don't ask what if questions. Or rather, if you do ask what if questions, make sure after you do the what if, because usually what if ends up being a statement when most people ask it. When you ask what if, after that, ask the question to go along with it. And I'll just say that. Like, don't ask me like, well, what if you sell comics at a convention? I need to know the question after that. Because at the end of the day, what if you sell comics at a convention means you sell comics at a convention. You get what I'm saying? So, and I've got a couple of those questions already where people, you know, they ask, what if, or what if this situation? Because all you're doing is telling me what a situation is. I need to know the actual question so I can answer the question after that. So let's see. I'll jump into live questions and see where we go from there. Maybe I'll do some shout outs first. I see I had a couple people join. I saw Carlito was here. That's my guy. Carlito, I swear we're going to take care of you, man. We're going to get you all set. I saw Raymond Fields join. Andrew Duggan. Ronald Sturgis, thank you. Tyrone Dickey, thanks for watching. Let's see. Joe DeSantos, what's going on? I saw my guy Danny Cooper. What's going on, Danny? I saw the Queen check in. LaShawn, what's going on? Daniel Calvin, what's going on? Let's see. Lonzo Star, CL Biddle. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. It means a lot. It means a lot to see that people are actually interested in talking about business, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about business, and specifically talking about business with me. Let's see. I saw Christian join. Danny J Quick was good. Let's see. Derek Jefferson, the homeless homeboy, checked in. Make sure you guys check out his Kickstarter. I know you got that going live. Let's see. And that's Derek Jefferson, just in case you guys don't know. That's, you know, Tony Clapper, what's going on? Lawrence James King, what's going on? Danny Dancore. Let's see. And Carlos Raphael just joined. So yeah, we had a couple people to watch today, and that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. It you know, makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. All warm and fuzzy on the inside. So okay, so let's get into a couple questions. I saw I got a couple questions. Let's see if we can get some answers going on. Make sure I didn't miss any. So let's see. We got Derek Jefferson. He started it off. He says, do you think hand-to-hand sales are more beneficial than online sales or vice versa? Okay, so when we're talking about sales and selling your comics, I think it goes twofold. I think potentially you should be able to sell more face-to-face because it's your comic. You should be able to pitch it. If you should pitch your comic, you know, a good pitch usually generates a sale. If you guys have never seen someone pitch a comic well, what I would say is you need to watch Michael Watson. Michael Watson, what I did personally, because I wanted to, anytime I want to learn how to do something, I go and practice. I go and train. I believe in always learning more. When I wanted to do videos, I practiced, I watched, I mentored under someone else and learned how to do videos. So I decided I wanted to. We did Wizard World Chicago in 2017, and I watched that was the first time a multitude of short fuse creators all came together in one event. It was Kat Calamia. That's the creator of Like Father, Like Daughter. You have Michael Watson there, of course, representing Freestyle Comics. Ramel Hill was there. Joshua Lucas, representing Red Band, he was there. Let's see. Just whole team was there. Long story short, and during that event, I got to watch how people sold their comics publicly, how they sold people, in person, how they sold their comics to people, and Catherine Calamia was really good at selling her comics. Ramel was good as well. But Michael Watson, and I had to make sure it wasn't a fluke. Michael Watson can sell his comics. He can really sell his comics, man. And I know I've mentioned Michael a couple times, and it's not just me, giving him kudos because he's the publisher of Short Fuse Media Group. It's because I recognize his strengths, and I recognize my weaknesses. Now, I sold a couple comics at the event, the Wizard World Chicago event, and I thought my pitch was okay. But watching Michael, it made me realize that my pitch was absolutely garbage. And again, I wanted to make sure it wasn't a fluke, and I knew I wanted to do more shows because I'm in Michigan, Michael's in Ohio, Cat's in New York, Ramel is in Wisconsin, Joshua was in Philly. So we're not all going to be at the same events all the time. It just wasn't going to happen. And I knew that I was going to be doing shows on my own, and I needed to understand how to pitch comics. So what I did is, since Michael is hop, skip, and a jump away from me in Ohio, just a couple hours away, I drove and I followed Michael around to event after event after event after event. And I think I followed him around for about 3.5, maybe 4 months. Every event he went to, I was going to. Because I wanted to just soak it up. I just wanted to soak it up. I wanted to soak up, how does he do it? I watched some of his videos. He got videos. His videos online where he's done presentations and things like that, where you can see him pitching. I watched the videos. I studied it. What did he say? How did he present it? I did all of that because I wanted to know how to pitch. And the culmination of that is I ended up doing a show in Wisconsin with Ramel. And Ramel can attest to this. Because Ramel is big. He doesn't say it online, but Ramel is big on competition. He's big on, I'm gonna outdo you. I gotta do better. He's big on it. It's friendly competition. Don't get me wrong. It's friendly competition. But Ramel's thing was, okay, man. Like he sold his first book at the show, and he looked at me. He said, "Well, that's 1 me, 0 you. What you gonna do?" And I said, "Oh, okay. So we competing." I said, "We competing, okay." So then I broke out the Michael Watson arsenal. And let's just say at the end of the day, I had over 70 books sold. Ramel didn't have that many. And this was just a one-day convention. This is small. It's a small, intimate convention. But I sold like 70 books using everything that I learned from Michael Watson. So what I say is, when I say this, I say selling in person, you should be able to sell more than what you sell online because you're actually there interacting with someone and doing a pitch. When you're online, whatever store or whatever platform you're using has to do the pitch for you. You get what I'm saying? And that's not as personal as it is with someone doing a pitch to you in person. But there is a caveat to that. So I made a post, I want to say a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, where I said that at the end of the day, I want my online sales to outdo my convention sales. Here's the reasoning behind that. Convention sales and selling in person, you're not every day out selling your comics in person. Maybe you are, Derek. I don't know, because I've seen a couple videos. I've seen a couple posts that you've made. But so maybe you are. But for the most part, people aren't. Excuse me for a second. People aren't out selling their comics every single day. Your online store is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, though. Imagine that. That means that anybody has access to buy your comics at any time. At any time. Via your online store. People that's in other countries that you can't go and pitch to, they can buy your comic at any time. Anybody that know me, It's followed anything that we do at Short Fuse know that I'm a big stickler on trying to figure out what's going on with international shipping and how to lower the cost, because we get online orders, international orders. We get them. I'm not pitching to these guys online. I'm not pitching to them. I'm not pitching to them in person. I'm not pitching to these guys or these fans in person. So I have to rely on my online sales. So your online sales, at the end of the day, to me, should be your number one. Adjustments need to be made, of course, to figure out what you need to do to make that your number one. So, but my thing is that online sales should be your number one, because it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The store never closes. An online store never closes. You can't go to an online store and it says, oh, we closed at 5 o'clock, because it's not always 5 o'clock at the same time everywhere. You get what I'm saying, Derek? So hopefully that makes sense. So I would say, again, I think online sales should be the goal as more beneficial. It's not going to work for everybody. Again, it's not going to work. Everybody's not going to put everything into what they need to do to make their online sales be what they are. Some people are going to just rely on hitting conventions. And then another thing about conventions is, just like I said, you're not selling to someone every day. Conventions are here and there. So you're at a convention maybe this weekend, maybe next weekend. There's going to be a period where there's not going to be any conventions during that weekend. So you're not going to be able to go out and sell comics. So because you don't have conventions, you can't sell your books anymore? Online stores, making sure you don't have to worry about that. Somebody always can buy your books. Always. Leading back into Asia's question, or Asia Petty. If your branding is right, your social media presence is good, then they should feel confident in going to your online store and buying. You get what I'm saying? So I guess I would say that the more beneficial one should be online sales. Is that going to be a reality for everybody starting tomorrow? No, it's not. But that should be the end goal. The end goal should be for you to make just as much money on a 1 year period in a fiscal year from your online store. You should make more money from your online store than you do attending all the conventions. Then on top of that, with conventions and things like that, even selling in public, wherever you sell it in public, there's additional expenses to that. There's gas. There's travel. If you're eating, there's food. If you're at a convention, so those things were just, if you're just out selling. If you're at a convention, there's table fees. If you're at a convention outside of your local area, then you have, lodging that you have to pay for. So those add expenses to your selling experience. You get what I'm saying? Your online store has none of that. None of that. You just have the maintenance for your website or the maintenance for your online store if you have maintenance for your online store. And I know, Derek, I know I sent you a link on how to get your online store up and running. So even with that one, up to 10 items, you don't even have to worry about that. You get what I'm saying? If you have a website that is attached to, you got to, worry about whatever monthly expenses you have for your website, if you have monthly expenses. Because I know it's a lot of websites that you can get for free. But the point being is, online, the expenses are going to be a lot lower than what you do for selling in public. You get what I mean? So again, the most beneficial, just from my experience, would be your online store. Online sales is going to be the most beneficial all day. So let's see. So appreciate the question, Derek. Let's see if I got another question. See how Biddle wrote drunk Twitter rocks. Man, I was having fun. And I woke up the next day and I looked at the tweets that I said, wow. And people actually liked it. So what I'm thinking is that, I'll use Facebook for my more serious, let's get down to the nitty gritty, have some serious discussion. And then I'm going to just go to Twitter and just be uncut. Just give you the raw. This is how I really feel. But every time I'm on Twitter, just know that I'm drinking vodka. I'm a vodka guy. I love vodka. So I'm going to drink vodka and I'll make a couple tweets. So let's see. Lawrence King wrote, how do you structure your marketing? That's a good question. It really depends on the project. It really depends on what you're marketing. Because marketing, a lot of people get marketing and promotions confused, or, promoting confused. And I had a discussion that I posted a few weeks back, where I was saying that there's a difference between marketing and promoting and things like that. So it really is going to depend to me. And how I was always taught, and this is from going through marketing classes and things like that, is marketing is everything that revolves around your brand that leads people to understand what your brand is, and eventually, from beginning to finish, have the end goal is them making a purchase from you. That's what marketing is. So it's not necessarily pushing a specific product. Right now, this video that you're watching, if you're still watching it, this is marketing. You got all kind of short fuse stuff going on. You got Sean Mack live. You got me marketing the fact that, hey, I talk about business and making comics. So if you are interested in that stuff, I'm giving you an outlet to, a platform to seek that kind of information, come to fruition. Whereas it's a lot of people, or there aren't a lot of options for indie comic business discussions beyond just what you do on social media. You get what I'm saying? So I took it upon myself, because I didn't see any of that, to do it on my own and say, well, I want to talk about this type of stuff and this type of content that I want to have out there. So this is me marketing. So you get what I'm saying, Lawrence? Marketing, the way you structure your marketing is going to be based off of what you're actually marketing. So it's not like and this is for a lot of questions. And this is why I specifically say I don't give advice, I just give experience. A lot of questions that come up, people are looking for a magic bullet. And there is no magic bullet. There's no magic bullet for a lot of things. And the reason that there is no magic bullet is because, again, which I've said, and I said last week, and I said it this week too, what works for one person may not work for another. So what works for me may not necessarily work for you. What works for you may not necessarily work for me. So there is no definitive answer, because everybody can go about doing things a different way. Everybody could travel a different path, even if the end result is the same goal, which one day, probably on one of my first uncuts, we're going to talk about goals, because I think that's a important discussion, talking about goals. So yeah, Lawrence, I would say structuring the marketing is based off of the project. I would structure it based off of the project. Also, I structure the marketing based off of the creator, because again, personal branding goes hand in hand, in my personal opinion, with whatever product that you're working on. So hopefully that answers your question. And I appreciate you chiming in, and thank you for participating, Lawrence. Let's see. Joe DeSantos wrote, how have you approached distribution? So I think this is a topic actually for the next show, but I'm gonna touch on it now. Personally, us approaching distribution as far as Diamond, I've had meetings with representatives from Diamond, and of course, when I say Diamond, I'm talking about Diamond Comic Distributors, because that's the biggest distribution company. And the reality of it is, for me, is as a businessman, I don't see a benefit for distribution through Diamond at this point. I said last week, somebody asked a question about tools, and I said that, using Diamond is a tool. A lot of people look at it as a platform, or it's a tool. It's a tool for you to use, because it's fairly simple to get into Diamond, but it's a tool. But in order to use that tool, you have to be able to recognize when the time is right to use that tool. I get a lot of indie creators that say, hey, I want to get my book in Diamond. I want to get my book in Diamond. I want to get my book in Diamond. But the reality of it is if you don't have an audience to sustain your book staying in Diamond, meaning you have to hit the threshold of a certain amount of sales, right? And that sales is typically more than what you see most indie creators doing on Kickstarter. Like most indie creators on Kickstarters, the best indie creators on Kickstarters are having 300 to 500 backers, right? So that's 300 to 500 individual people that are supporting their efforts. It takes more than 300 to 500 copies to be sold via Diamond for you to be able to sustain being a Diamond, let alone making a profit. So as far as approaching distribution, my thing is when the project is actually ready and it has the audience for it, that's when I'll look at approaching it. And I'll do it on a case-by-case basis, me specifically. If I know that a project that I'm working on or working with a creator and they have an audience that can sustain us making that amount of the amount of sales needed to sustain distribution, then I'll look at it. I've also looked at a couple of the other smaller companies. I can't remember the name of them right now. I think one is Emerald Distribution. I think it's Emerald. Because I just got an email from them. I looked at some of the things that they're doing, and it's interesting. I personally don't look at distribution as a model. I personally focus on fulfillment as a model. You launch a project and you have it available after it launches, and you do fulfillment on those orders. And to me, that's different. That's different than distribution, because distribution means it's just here and available for everybody. And unfortunately, I say it all the time, and you can disagree with me if you want, people, but the reality of it is just because your comic is in the shop, which, mind you, a lot of shops are not even going to order comics that don't have a pre-built fan base already. And meaning, if your comic was on Kickstarter, they probably not going to order it either, because the people that wanted it already got it off Kickstarter. So that's just the caveat. And that comes directly from speaking to multiple comic shop owners. So that's not conjecture that I'm making up. That's actual me having dialogue with comic shop owners. But what I'll say is that the reality of it is it doesn't seem beneficial at this point. When it does is when I'll look into it more. So hopefully that answered your question, Joe. And I appreciate your question, man. I appreciate you participating. And you participated last week too, I believe. So thank you for that, man. Thank you. Let's see. Lonzo Starro, thanks for the branding knowledge. I'm big on branding, and you're right on the money. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Again, what works for me may not work for others, but it clearly has worked for me. You get what I'm saying? So, and that's why I hope that's what I hope that I can give people with these videos. I hope that I can give them some clarity on how we've been able to do what exactly we've done. Because the reality of it is I wouldn't talk about this stuff if I didn't live it. And that's why I think it's not giving advice. I'm not going to talk about things that I haven't done. Which you see a lot. You see a lot, especially on social media, where you see people, and it's the funniest thing to me when people, I've had people, here's a funny thing. I've had people give me advice on stuff and say, this is what you should be doing, Sean. This is exactly what you should be doing. And then I look at what they've done, and they haven't even done the thing that they're telling me to do. And to me, that's interesting. It's ballsy, to say the least. It's ballsy to give me insight on things that I should do without any, what I like to call, without any proof of concept. I need proof of concept for me to pay attention to what you're talking about. If you're not giving me proof of concept, then I just can't take it seriously. So, me personally, I give you proof of concept. I give you proof of concept with anything that I'm talking about. I'm not going to just make up some stuff, because it's not going to be beneficial. It's not going to be beneficial to you. It's definitely not going to be beneficial to me. At the end of the day, you're going to tell everybody I didn't know what I was talking about. So whatever I talk about, I give you proof of concept. And once I give you proof of concept, it's up to you to take whatever, information you can gather from that and see if it can work for you. Because it may not work. It may not work for a multitude of different reasons, which I went into detail on last week. Let's see. See, I got some new people that joined in. My guy, Kanan White. Dude, I'm getting more artwork from you soon. You have no idea what I'm about to hit you with. No idea. I'm going to hit you with some stuff. I need all kind of stuff done. But anyway, appreciate you tuning in, Kanan. Rodney Lockett joined. I see Jamal Lessie joined. Courtney Jackson joined. What's going on, people? Alyssa Sanchez joined. Alyssa, I think your topic came for next question. For next week's video. Let's see. Tony Clapper wrote, agreed, bro. I've seen him in action. I'm pretty sure he's talking about Michael Watson, because Tony is also from Ohio. Michael Watson is a beast when it comes to pitching. If you guys don't know, I'm telling you, his videos online. If you want to know how to pitch, if you want to compare how you pitch to somebody else that pitches well, not saying that you don't pitch well, but if you want to, look at somebody else who pitches well, check out Michael Watson. Michael Watson pitches well. That's going to be my new hashtag. Hashtag Mike Watson pitches well. Let's see. I think I'm going to take one more question. Let's see. And that's coming from Lawrence James King again. He wrote, where can I see these Watson vids? If you go to Michael's page, if you go to his page, you go to Michael Watson on Facebook, you look through some of his videos. I think you just click on his videos link. I'm pretty sure you'll find some of his videos there where he's done pitching. He actually pitches. He actually posts videos that he does of panels. And he has videos of him pitching. I actually filmed one of his pitches. I think we were at Wizard World Chicago again. Matter of fact. This was 2018 though. This was Wizard World Chicago 2018. And he actually pitched down there, and I think I pulled out my camera and I pulled out my phone and video recorder. So I'm gonna have to see if I can find that. If I can find it, I'm gonna post it. But I have to look for it because I don't know if I still have it, because I switch phones. Everybody in Short Fuse will tell you I break phones over and over and over again, and I don't know if the video uploaded to my Google Drive. If it did, I'm good. If it didn't, then the video is lost. But if it is there, I'm going to post that video because it was a really good video. And I meant to actually post it to our team, and I never did. But watching Mike pitch, yeah, that's something I would recommend to everybody. If you know you need to learn more strategies and tactics on pitching. Again, if you pitch and you sell well, hey, it is what it is. You're good to go. But if that's something that you struggle with, Michael Watson. Watch Michael Watson. It's a certain level of energy that he puts into it. Victor Dandridge is good at pitching too. I've seen Victor pitch too. I haven't seen as many videos of Victor pitching, but I know and those they're a team. I'm not part of the gauntlet. Yes, Danny Cooper. I did go there. Just so you know, I did go there because those guys are the gauntlet. But they're a team that I think they refer to themselves as like the masters of self-promotion or something like that. But I say the masters of pitching because both of the guys, they do a really good job pitching. So yeah, check out Michael Watson's Facebook page. And then go there and look for a video. I'll try and actually find one of his videos later this week and share it on my page just as a point of reference to say, hey, this is what I'm talking about when you want to watch somebody do good pitching. If not, I'm pretty sure Michael will have a video soon because we've talked about it so much and now he got a point to prove to everybody. That's me putting Michael on blast. So let's see. That's going to wrap it up for today. Again, I appreciate everybody checking in because we reaching the hour mark and I don't like to go past an hour. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate everybody that's watching the show, that's participating, that's sending me questions. Keep sending me questions. Remember, follow me online on all social media. It's simply at Sean Mack Live. If you want a question on the show and you missed any of the social media posts, you can always send a question to me via email at seanmacklive@gmail.com. Simply put topic in the subject line. That way I know it's for the show and I'll go through your question. Make the questions as short as possible if you want it to be a featured question. Maybe you can get question of the day, win you some free swag. Again, shouts out to Adrian, Asia Petty for getting question of the day. And yeah, man, that's going to do it, man. So I'm going to go on and sign off from here. When I upload these videos to YouTube, I make sure I have all the graphics and everything going. I'm not doing it here, but hey, we gonna rock out with it the way it is. So again, I appreciate everybody that tuned in. It really makes me feel good to know that people like the show and that people are watching. And hey, man, I'll see you guys next week on episode number 3. And I'll make sure I let you guys know when I do the uncut. I'm gonna do the uncut. I don't know what I'm doing it on. I still gotta learn how to use Anchor, but I don't know whether it's gonna be just a podcast or whether I'm gonna do a video or whatever. But it's gonna be pre-recorded, so it won't be a live thing. But if I do it as a video, then I'll post that and everybody can check it out and enjoy it and go from there and leave comments and we can have discussions from there. So beyond that, y'all have a good day and I'll talk to you guys soon.